Hey everyone, my name's Amal and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm Amal. I do a lot of vlogging, I do a lot of talking, and sometimes I even upload weekly. Today's topic is confidence. I definitely don't feel like I'm an expert on this topic, but I did learn some things along the way and I want to share with you all. But first of all, if you are new and you are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe below. It helps me a ton. I'm trying to really build my channel and that would help me immensely. Also, if you could like this video and comment, that would be incredible too. Thank you all so much for the support, especially on my last video. Thank you for all the comments. It was just really exciting to see my channel growing so much this year, so I really appreciate you all. I asked you all on Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me at It's Amal World. I asked you all on Instagram as well as on my community page to ask me questions about confidence, whether it relates to you or me or just in general. So I got a lot of amazing questions, so I chose a few and I will be answering them today. Also, if I am talking weird, that's because I have my Invisalign in. I decided I'm just going to keep it in for all these videos because I just have to get used to talking like this for a while. So sorry about that if that bothers you. Also, another apology, this lighting is really weird. I don't know, out of all the days in California to shoot, I always decide to shoot on the cloudy days. So the light comes in and out. So if you see that, sorry about that. The first question I'm going to answer is, what was your confidence journey like? So my confidence journey has definitely been a roller coaster. I think the first time that I really felt my confidence kind of affect me was when I was in school, when I was younger in elementary school. I went to a school that was predominantly white. There were only a few people of color and even fewer Black people. So I always felt a little bit insecure in that I was just kind of the only one. And I think that when you are so young, it's hard to kind of process what you're feeling exactly. And at the time, I just felt so out of place. I just at a very young age decided I wasn't the ideal of beauty. I don't want to kind of assume, but I feel like a lot of especially Black women deal with this early on. I saw that okay, well, the pretty girls look like this. They look white and they're blonde, and I don't look like that. Therefore, I guess I'm just not pretty. And I think I just really internalized that at a very young age. And it wasn't until I was older that I was really able to unpack that. A lot of the issues that I dealt with in terms of my appearance really kind of always go back to the fact that we live in a society that does not prioritize diversity, unfortunately. And a lot of times when we do grow up in these societies that, a lot of people don't look like us and a lot of people don't have our background, it can really leave deep scars. And I think that that was a really big breakthrough for me because I was oh, okay, I guess I can be beautiful and I can feel beautiful. So that was something that really kind of heavily affected my confidence. And this process came through years of being very, very deliberate in how I think and how I talk to myself and what type of content I'm consuming, who I'm around, what kind of conversations I'm having with people, how I'm talking about myself, how I'm talking about others. So I think that after I really, really was able to change the way I think about myself, I was able to pinpoint exactly where my confidence, or I guess lack thereof, was coming from. The next question asks, does confidence really come with age? After college, moving out, etc. So I want to say yes and no. I don't think there's a magical switch that kind of turns on after you hit a certain milestone of life. It's not okay, you've moved out, therefore now you're confident. It doesn't work that way. I think it's a combination of growing up and also how you nurture your confidence. Confidence, and I always say this, is a state of becoming. It's not a state of being. It really is something you have to nurture. It's something you have to grow. It's something you always have to keep working on. It's not a destination. It's not okay, well, after you reach this age or this milestone, now you're confident and your confidence is never going to change. Life happens, you grow, you hit a rough patch. So I definitely think that as long as you are constantly working on your confidence, you're going to grow, you're going to feel more comfortable in your own skin. When I was younger, I remember people would say, when you're older, you won't care about these things. And I always remember thinking thinking like, what do you mean? Like, I'm always gonna be worried about this. And on some level, that's right. There's some things in life, like the way you look, maybe the way you come off, that at a certain level you are gonna think about, but I think the way you think about it and the way you kind of approach it changes. The next question is, how do you actually accept your flaws and not feel insecure about them? That's a really hard one. I think in general, there is so much that goes into the way we view our flaws. And a lot of it has to do with societal expectations. Like, I'm sorry I keep blaming society, but so much of what we internalize as things that we just feel for no reason has to do with the environment that we're in. When I really am like hyper focusing on a flaw that I have, I always take a step back and I think about this one thing, and maybe this would help you, maybe it won't, but sometimes I think, okay, if I got on a plane right now and I crossed the border to maybe a different continent, to maybe even a different country, the thing that I see as beautiful, or like the ideal of beauty, completely changes based on what side of a border I stand on, if that makes sense. Our beauty standard, even our, character standards, they're really social constructs. Somebody decided that this is what a confident person looks like. This is what a beautiful person looks like. This is what an ideal person looks like. And then people just kind of followed it. And based on where you live in the world, those things are completely different. So really, it's super, super irrelevant what people think, because at the end of the day, something as like insignificant as literally crossing a border, going to a different country, completely changes what those ideals are. So really, they're super insignificant. And something else I really, really try to do is I try to limit negative self-talk. And what that means is you have a voice inside your head, and sometimes that voice is really, really negative. Growing up, I let that voice and that negative self-talk really go unchecked. But once I started to really realize that I'm very mean and very harsh to myself, that was really a breaking point for me to accept who I am and how I am. So what I do is I try to talk to myself like I would talk to a friend, and being hyper, hyper, hyper aware of every single thing that you're saying to yourself is so important. Don't let a comment go. Make sure that you, maybe for 1 week or for 1 day, pay attention to every single thing that you say to yourself. If you need to write them down, if that's too overwhelming, but just pay attention to that. And then just like assess at the end of that day or week or whatever, how you talk to yourself, and ask yourself, like, would I say this to a friend? Would I talk this way to a loved one of mine? If you need to, just say it out loud. Say, no, I don't think that about myself. I don't actually hate what I'm wearing. That wasn't a stupid thing that I said. And I think the more and more you do that, it just becomes a habit. So I think that's something else to think about. So I also got a few questions about imposter syndrome and how to combat that. A lot of women feel this, especially a lot of women of color, and especially a lot of Black women. For me, I think I felt imposter syndrome way before I even knew the definition of what an imposter syndrome even meant. And maybe you all are the same. I always felt like, do I really deserve to be here? Did I earn it? Am I tricking someone? Are they gonna find out that I'm actually a fraud? The thing that always helps me through, and what I always tell my friends who are dealing with the same thing, is I take a step back and I say, every single thing in my life, big and small, has helped me prepare for this moment right now. Every experience that you had is so uniquely yours, and that's what you bring to the table. Nobody else has these similar experiences. Nobody else has the same life that you lived. Nobody has lived that life. Only you can bring that experience to the position or the role or whatever else that you currently have. So if you think about it that way, you feel irreplaceable. Nobody else can bring that to the table. You are the only one who can do that. When I went to law school, I was surrounded by people who essentially took years after undergrad to have real life work experience. They actually worked in this field, and I didn't. I didn't know anything about it. And because of that, I always felt like, oh, they're gonna see right through me. I don't think that I should be here. So I always felt that way. Imposter syndrome really is an ongoing battle. I don't think that there's like one cure-all for it, but always reminding yourself that no matter what, you deserve to be where you are. And not only that, that nobody else can fill your role except you. The next question is, how do you try to keep confident even at your lowest times? One thing that I do is I try to keep track of things that I'm proud of myself that are not like physical things or like career accomplishments. So what I mean by that is I say, I'm so grateful for the fact that I was brave yesterday when I did this thing. I'm so grateful for, the fact that I was vulnerable and I connected with this friend of mine. I'm so grateful and proud of myself for the way that I handled this situation, which was a little tension. So I think acknowledging the things about yourself that are not physical, that are not like career accomplishment related, is really a way that I feel helps me look at the bigger picture and to really appreciate things about myself that maybe people can't see, that's not surface level. Making sure that your surrounding environment is one of love, of support, is really important to building inner confidence, because if you're around people who make you feel horrible and literally don't take the time to acknowledge your accomplishments, or maybe make you feel weird about them, or make you feel weird about your, hobbies or what you want to do with your life, then of course you're going to feel it. You're going to have low self-esteem because the people around you are reflected of how you are. In my younger days, I would hang out with people who just like didn't make me feel good. And even though they weren't maybe like outwardly bullying me or like insulting the way I looked or the way I was, the more time you spend with people, the more you reflect each other. And if you're hanging out with people who don't make you feel good, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel good about yourself or about what you want to do or how you look or any of that. So I think that was something that I really had to do. That was the end of the questions. Thank you so much for submitting questions. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to all of them, but I really, really appreciate you all. Sorry about this lighting. Like I said, the sun, I feel like the sun's only up for like 1.5 hours a day, and like I chose a day where it's like even less sunny than usual. So it's my fault. Apologies. But I'm really glad that we got to talk about this, and I love listening to your questions and interacting with you all. So please make sure that you comment below on things that help you feel confident, what you do when you need a confidence boost. I would really appreciate if you could subscribe and you like this video, share it with friends if you haven't already. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.